Hello, my name is Jennifer Parke. I'm a plant pathologist at Oregon State University in Corvallis. I've been working on diseases caused by water molds for about 26 years. And for the last decade, I've been working on Phytophthora ramorum, the cause of sudden oak death, as well as other Phytophthora species here in Oregon. Now, most of my experience is with woody ornamental nurseries. And today I'm going to be talking about a systems approach for managing Phytophthora diseases in nurseries, emphasizing the importance of water. I'll start with a brief introduction to Phytophthora, describe what I mean by a systems approach for managing pests and diseases, and then talk about how water fits in. Well, why are we so interested in Phytophthora species? Phytophthora species cause the most serious diseases of nursery crops nationally. They're widespread, and they include foliar, soil-borne, and waterborne pathogens, so they're good indicators of nursery contamination. They can infect leaves, roots, and stems of plants, and they do include introduced species that threaten landscape plants as well as forest trees. And one of these is Phytophthora ramorum, the sudden oak death pathogen. But there are others, such as Phytophthora kernoviae and Phytophthora alni, that exist in Europe but are not yet in North America. And Phytophthora species can spread long distances around the world with the nursery plant trade. And unfortunately, our current phytosanitary system is not effective in preventing the spread of Phytophthora species. Our current system is based on endpoint inspections. Growers produce the plants, and the plants are inspected visually by state or county departments of agriculture. I think you can see why this may not be effective. Plants can be infected but not yet show symptoms, or symptoms can be masked by treatment of the plants with fungicides, or infected plants can simply be missed. An additional problem is that if a plant is found to be infected, the grower has no idea what they need to do to correct the problem in their nursery. Now, last week, Gary Chastegner spoke about the biology of waterborne pathogens. Let's review what we know about Phytophthora, which literally means plant eater. Phytophthora is a water mold. That is, it requires water to complete its life cycle. It's an oomycete, more closely related to brown algae than to true fungi. It produces several different types of spores, designed either for survival or dissemination, and this includes zoospores, which are tiny, one-celled spores that swim through water. There are more than 100 Phytophthora species, which can cause diseases on food crops, forest trees, and ornamentals. And they can cause root rot, foliar blight, and stem canker diseases. Here are some symptoms of root rot, where the above-ground parts of the plants become discolored or wilt because the roots are rotten and cannot take up water. And this slide shows symptoms of foliar blight, where you can have either distinct brown lesions like on this camellia, or the whole leaf may turn brown and fall off like on this pieris. Phytophthora can also cause stem cankers, particularly on fruit trees, as shown here. The white arrows show where the pathogen has been splashed up onto the stems from the soil, and it's causing lesions. Here's the life cycle of Phytophthora. It survives in soil or plant debris as thick-walled chlamydospores or oospores, which are the sexual reproductive structures. And under high moisture conditions and favorable temperatures, these survival spores give rise to sporangia. The sporangia release those spores, which require at least a film of water in order to swim. And these zoospores are attracted to plant roots, or if they're on the leaves, they might be able to orient better to sites on the leaves, which are good, suitable sites for infection. When the zoospore comes to rest at the plant surface, it then insists and gets a cell wall, and then germinates to form hyphae. And then these hyphae can then penetrate the plant. And once in the plant, it can then either produce these chlamydospores or oospores again. So let's take a look at how this plays out in a nursery. Let's start down here with a plant with foliar blight, down here in the lower left. And under moist conditions, sporangia are produced on the leaf surface. And these sporangia then can become detached and either be blown or splashed onto adjacent plants. They release zoospores, and here's the leaf surface. Here's the sporangium on the leaf surface, which has released zoospores, which can then infect the leaves, causing more disease on these plants. The sporangia can also be splashed into puddles of water, where they can be spread with surface flow to contaminate the soil or infect roots, get onto vehicles in mud, contaminate potting media, or get splashed onto additional plants. And the runoff water becomes contaminated, which in recirculating systems can lead to contaminated irrigation water. And so the Phytophthora can also come in the form of contaminated irrigation water. Now, infected leaves of plants frequently fall off, and when they are moistened by either rain or irrigation, they produce sporangia and release more zoospores. So the two most important factors for Phytophthora disease are water and sanitation. And you've got to take care of both water management and contaminated leafy debris if you're going to manage Phytophthora successfully. This movie will show zoospores being released from a sporangium in water. These zoospores swim through the soil water, again where they're attracted to roots, and they can also be splashed up onto the plants where they can infect leaves.